Today's guest is Jon Schultz, co-founder and managing principal of Onyx Equities, one of the most active real estate investment and development firms in the Northeast. Onyx is deeply involved in office, industrial, retail, and highly complex value-add repositionings, with a track record of transforming large-scale assets across New Jersey, New York, and the broader region. Jon has helped lead the firm through billions in acquisitions and some of the most notable redevelopment and leasing turnarounds in the market. He's widely known for his ability to see opportunity in challenged assets, navigate capital market cycles, and build operational plans that actually execute. We're getting into how Onyx approaches value creation today, what he sees in office and industrial going forward, how they think about risk in this part of the cycle, and the leadership lessons Jon's learned building a platform of this scale. If you enjoy this episode, make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen. And with that, let's get into it. You have a really cool story that I didn't know, and when you got here, we started talking about your background. And Onyx is very big across the tri-state area and also throughout the country, and a lot of different property types, which I didn't realize. But you kind of grew up in the business a little bit too.
Give us the lowdown of the early years.
It's the early years. Wow. Yeah. I hopefully I can remember.
Still in, I think you're still in.
And then I would like to hear the 9/11 component because that is wild.
Why are you ruining the story?
Yeah, that's okay. I gave a little preamble here. So my father, I came from a real estate family. I grew up around it. My father was a developer in New Jersey. He was partners.
What was he developing?
With a family. They were developing all office buildings. It was when Jersey really didn't have any office buildings.
Where did you grow up in Jersey?
I grew up in Monmouth County, New Jersey.
Monmouth? Where?
Yeah. I grew up in Wayside, Ocean Township.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
So, Jersey Shore area my whole life. And so I grew up around it. And, back then there was land. It wasn't as densely populated. And they really took the office building route, his partner and himself, and they would find great locations at interchanges. And, I sort of grew up watching that, listening to it. And during the summers, instead of going to camp, I was just so intrigued by real estate. Mm-hmm. I was just, excited when you saw a piece of land that something was there, 2 years later that you created, right? So I would work in the summers. I would do construction jobs. I would work in his office. And, I just enjoyed the experience of, I own a lot of office buildings, but one of my things was I never had to sit in the office. I was always out meeting people and companies and seeing how they operate. And, I'm just, now I'm the guest, I have my own podcast, which I love people's stories. I love hearing about, how someone got from here to there and what it took. And,
so you got into brokerage, which was your first thing, but not office, industrial.
No, I started out in industrial. I joined a firm that, is now actually was acquired by Newmark years later. Mm-hmm. And, they put me where they wanted me to be, right? I had I'm older than you guys, I had index cards, there was no CRMs.
Index cards.
There was index cards. I had to actually keep track of who we canvassed,
awesome.
With little expirations in the right hand corner. And, I had my little box and, I enjoyed it. And why I did love industrial was you got to see how things got to the supermarket shelf and how things were made. And Jersey had a bigger manufacturing base back then. So it was exciting and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed being out. I enjoyed, for me, it was like getting someone to believe in why I could help them. Yeah. And that was really always, what drove me.
So you cut your teeth there, and then at some point you decided to get into business with your father.
I did. Well, I basically was going to go to another firm. Mm-hmm. I had 3 years in, and I wanted to get more into a bigger firm that had more resources, you guys understand that. Sure. That had more of a global footprint. And, the day before I was going to go, the deal changed. And I was like, you know what? I always said, I hate to say this, but a good deal that with not a bad person, but a thing that didn't work out may not work out in the future. So what I did was I spoke to my father, and he was sort of in his new world with leaving his partner, and we started our firm in a shared office suite in Woodbridge, actually Metro Park, New Jersey. So,
awesome. And so and you started with office with him doing.
We basically started an office. So what we tried to do is find a place that our value would be higher than, competing against all the larger firms up in the northern part of the state. So we went south, and it was 2 buildings that basically had issues from the 1986 tax laws, and they had loans coming due, and it was empty. The tenant left. And
tell the listeners who may not know about these laws what that essentially was.
So what was the big impact?
What was the impact of it?
Well, the impact was a lot of people invested in things, for that purpose.
Depreciation.
Right. And then it's sort of the loan, if tenant moved out, you'd have a big issue, right? So it got people into real estate that really weren't really into real estate. But so they had an issue, and we were hired to fix it, and we were like sort of the bigger fish in the smaller pond. And that's how we started our career. And, what I learned from that experience is we took on one asset, and it was our sole focus. And all I did every day was focus on that. How am I going to lease this? Who am I going to meet that can lease this? And we leased it probably over a 15-month period.
So you repositioned an asset.
We repositioned it, and it was our entire focus to get going. And that's sort of how we
And
morphed.
you did the leasing yourself.
Yep, we did the leasing ourselves, and it was tremendous. It was a tremendous.
When did that kick off around?
So I guess that was in the I graduated in 1987, so like in the 90s, early.
Yeah.
And that eventually grew to Onyx.
Well, I mean, we spent years being a brokerage firm.
Okay.
Yeah, it was years in the making, and we went through all the different cycles that happened with, when institutional ownership got in, the S&L crisis, when all of a sudden all those loans blew up and institutions were buying all this debt and needed people to operate it in the areas.
They needed local operators,
local
That's
brokers. Cool. I remember running around doing opinions of value for firms in Dallas or outside our state that really did not understand our market, so that they could understand the collateral that they were getting, and then they would work it out, and they would need someone to manage it through. So we did that, and then Onyx started in 05.
Okay, so
with my partner John Saraceno.
So you've seen a lot of different cycles, which we should talk about some, because there's so many people in real estate right now that really they've only seen the run up, right? Ever since the GFC, it's just been all great.
I would say before we even get to cycles, I want to talk a little bit about the kind of stuff that you do at Onyx. Like, give everybody the sense of the. You mentioned office. You've also told me offline some life sciences stuff. Like, give them the dynamic of what you're investing in, what you're building, and it's all throughout Jersey.
We're in the tri-state area.
Tri-state,
yeah. So we always felt real estate is local, and to be the best in an area, because then the tenants, the dynamics, the people in the market, how that market works, what people care about, both from, where people want to live and why. Why do you want to locate there? To have any good company, it's talent. Like, how am I going to recruit talent to my business? So, we always felt geography, but do multi-asset types was where we were going to go. Yeah. And, leasing is leasing, and, underwriting is underwriting, and, market assumptions are market assumptions. And I'm not saying, you should be, all to everything, but in a certain geography, we start out with Class A plus or B plus office. Now we're mostly Class A. We were never afraid to expand into where the momentum was in the market, right? We've done industrial. There was a big growth when Amazon and all the e-commerce warehouse retailers wanted to relocate, right? Life science, we saw a big moment where that was a strong thing. If you look at all the innovation in health and what's going on in our world.
So let's break it up. So let's start, because there's a lot of different asset types here. So let's start with office, since that kind of was where you started off at. And so, what the heck's going on with office? What's your take on it? Right? I mean, this is a almost over talked about thing a little bit, but is office rebounding right now? Where do you see the opportunities?
Yeah.
And is Class B office even a thing anymore?
And this is also why I wanted to qualify it, right? Because I think there's some misnomers, especially in our office space. When you say Class A, somebody pivots to like trophy New York.
Ultra,
and then when you
yeah.
say, right, like the one Vanderbilts, and then when you say Class B, they're like suburban office parks. I'm like, there's Class A suburban office parks. There's Class B, like
what is that?
So help them define it.
So it's really Class A plus now, okay? To Class A, but you got to make it an A plus situation.
What separates A plus from just an A?
The capital that you're able to put in these buildings to actually amenitize them the way they should be. Like, I feel like the number one amenity right now to get people to want to come to the office is energy.
Yeah.
Like people.
I thought you were going to say podcast studio.
Well, that would help.
That's number two. Yeah.
But, what we're finding is people, if you look back to the retail internet starting, remember, like there was never going to be a shopping center. Shopping centers are dead. And then they figured out that halo effect where, bricks and mortar and the internet worked well together. Well, I think for office and for, the generations that are going to come into the workforce, and AI is a whole nother story, but you need a halo effect of where you can have a sustainable company moving forward where there's people coming in, being trained, having a culture, feeling part of something.
Energy.
Bigger than
and when
themselves.
you say energy, just like making it cool, making it exciting. Having people...
we find the number one thing that people care about is food. Like how are you addressing the food service in your building? We went really higher end. They can now cater. They look like restaurants that are
I see a lot
within
of
our
coffee
space.
shops and lobbies.
Coffee shop areas, sitting areas, hangout areas, couch areas, depending on the size of the building and the complex. So I think that's important. I also think shared spaces for conference facilities are a big on the list. Fitness is a big on the list. It's the stuff we all use in our life anyway. I always say like the first shared office space was Starbucks, right? That I felt.
Right.
Because you used to go and hang out. It felt comfortable.
We were just talking about, you went to this coffee shop across the street from here and you said it was just a lot of zombies.
John wants to start renting seats.
They don't even acknowledge when you walk in. They're just staring at their computers.
They're all working hard, I guess. But
touching on your point, I think what you're talking about in the amenity space, right? Whoever's in the office space gets the necessity of amenities today, and you absolutely need them to have a functional building. But I think that effect is amplified once you go into markets where you really have to drive. And to your point, you were talking about the restaurants. In parks in Jersey, you're eating up a lot of the very little time you have to step away from your desk if you have to get in your car, drive somewhere, pick stuff up.
But what is good about what's happening now, like we have a big 700,000 square foot complex that I think what the live, work, play concept in some of the towns that, are getting this are building lots of residential. Like the older product that shouldn't be there, that B, that C stuff is getting knocked down. Like we've knocked down more office buildings than we've ever built over the last 5 years.
Wow,
we've changed the uses because, the world's changing, you have to change with it, right?
So what's an example? What are you changing it to?
So we bought office buildings and changed them to industrial logistics centers. Okay. We've done 2 of those.
So you maintain sort of the shell more so?
No, we've completely demolished it.
Demolished and rebuilt something else.
See, the difference from the suburbs to the city, like when you say conversions and like how are we going to get product to be reused? Yes, cities, it's harder just to knock something down and rebuild it. It's easier in the suburbs to do that, and it's a much, I think, better route.
It's an interesting play. It makes a lot of sense to go after sort of suburban Class B type product and just
it's happening everywhere.
Yeah,
there's millions of square feet in the tri-state area that have been knocked down for new uses, which is great.
Yeah. Interesting.
So, and our parking lots are full. It looks like it's a 4-day thing now, 3.5, 4 days. Fridays was always here or there anyway. I mean, at most of our buildings, but, there's no technology necessary for me to see that our parking lots are full.
Yeah.
We have more suburban buildings, so we don't always have the turnstiles to check to see occupancy levels, but we can see it by the cars. And it's and the traffic. I mean, it may be staggered in different times of the day. people tend to be leaving a little earlier on some days, and the flexibility thing is still a big thing, and it's important.
Okay. Lev is simplifying the most tedious parts of commercial real estate financing by bringing it all into one single platform. Use Lev to find new lenders matched exactly to your deal specs, manage all stages of your pipeline, and maintain relationships with your network. With Lev, you can keep in touch with your network, plus connect with over 7,000 active lenders. They're also just launched the newest version of Lev Memo, which uses your uploaded information to generate OMs with the click of a button. See how easy debt financing can be and why Lev users are launching over $3 billion in deals every month. Get started on lev.com today. Okay. So, can we bounce to life sciences?
No. Yeah.
Okay.
Go for it.
Life sciences.
Bounce.
Very, very popular asset type for a while, having its issues a little bit right now, little growing pains, if you will. Where are we at with that? I know you guys are active there. You mentioned you're doing a build to suit right now. In that space.
It's like everything in business in any industry is supply versus demand, right? And that creates a dynamic. And, where's the momentum? Like, where are people seeing the momentum? So if you just look at what AI is going to do for us, right, as far as knowledge and the innovation in the healthcare world that's going to create is going to be amazing, right? And to do it, you need labs. Like, you need people in labs, you need people doing tests.
Yeah.
There's all this discovery that's going on that, there's a big startup ecosystem and then there's the large companies. Now, Jersey has amazing talent in the life science world, right? It's had pharma companies for years and years and years. That's where they live and
Princeton,
bring
Princeton
their families up. So, when you're in real estate, it's all demographics, like what's growing and why, and how people are going to, maintain that growth with the talent that's within
and
the area.
Jersey, is that just still compounding? I mean, is there still tons of growth?
Well, what's interesting now is a lot of the big pharma companies are retooling how they do their experimentation or what they need. And, so a lot of campuses that we're involved in weren't available for 40, 50 years. And now we're retooling them for the future, right? And not that they're leaving. Some are building new campuses, on other campuses that they have. Remember, these are big companies with large facilities.
Which what you're saying
everywhere.
is, I guess some of these campuses are a little outdated, and
they're not outdated as far as the technology and what they put into these facilities. They're just older. I mean, they're older buildings. But like, one thing about the pharmaceutical industry, it's all about the facilities. It's all about the talent. So they've maintained and upgraded these buildings. They're all Class A plus in stature as far as what's in them, how their business is moving and what they do to maintain what's there. So, it's a lot of infrastructure that will inherit. You still got to have TI for new tenants to come in, but like the core infrastructure is just imperative from, power on the sites and all the different things that they need to run all the experiments or whatever they do.
Of course.
There's all, and you got cosmetic companies that there's so many lab needs from all different types of companies and industries. So it's interesting. So we're multi-tenanting some of these things that were never available. So it's gonna be interesting.
So this is a kind of a more long-winded segment that I want to get into on it. But for me, it's easy in New York because my land area is so small.
Right.
You're not only covering tri-state. Let's just pick Jersey, for example.
Right.
The parts of Jersey that you're spanning is miles and miles in between. So given all the different product types that you have and the range and the quality, like, what are some of the trends you're seeing, especially amongst the office parks or industrial, whatever's easier to touch on? Like, on the office side, what is the trend? More space, less space, longer term, shorter term? Like,
well, it's funny.
Is there a theme in your portfolio yet?
Medical office is growing. Like just like there was the drugstore. Remember the drugstores would go in every corner? Remember, like, I don't know, you're younger than me, but the supermarkets that first came in were fighting over locations. The healthcare industry is now, taking a lot of the stuff that's in the hospital and moving outside the hospital from urgent care, doctor's offices, almost making it.
I have a hot take. All these urgent cares, they're totally worthless. I don't. We don't.
How
we
can
don't
you say
need them.
they're all totally
They don't know what they're doing,
worthless?
Alex. They don't know what they're doing. Anyways,
Sorry,
that's my
somebody
hot
gave
take.
you a Band-Aid for
I mean, I don't believe that. I think they're like a necessary thing
For
to be in a
sure.
community.
Nah, I don't know. I'm
know, 'cause-
I'm not
of course.
convinced,
'Cause,
but certainly makes your life easier, I suppose.
Yeah.
All right, we'll keep it moving. Sorry.
Well,
fool.
it's that or emergency room if you really have to go
That's
somewhere,
true.
right? So,
Well, the whole emergency room setup should be more user friendly for everybody.
that's why they created urgent care.
Exactly.
Because emergency room, that's called an emergency room.
Right. People
for a
go for
reason.
like a.
And listen, when it comes to your health, like it feels always like an emergency,
Everything's
right?
an
Especially when you don't know what's going on.
That's true.
But it's nice to have the ability to be able to go to these urgent cares.
Of course.
And get a quick appointment and feel like your needs are taken care of. Especially if it's, I got, when you have kids especially, right?
Yeah.
That, for me, I'll figure myself out. But
Yeah. Well, I mean, now we just
Have
go.
you tried calling your doctor recently? Anytime I want to schedule an appointment with my
it's the
primary,
worst.
it's a minimum 3 weeks out.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
So go ahead and ride your cold out for the next
What are
3
you talking
weeks.
about?
and then
Go
to
on
your doctor.
ChatGPT
well, now they have
and just have it diagnose you.
telemedicine. Listen,
I know.
the
That
things,
one I believe in less in. So Jack's hot take, my
things
hot
are
take
changing,
is,
and they're not going to be exactly how we want
That's
it
right.
when we want it. But I love progress, and I'm willing to wait for things not to be perfect to get to progress. This is why I like real estate, right?
Yeah. By the way, we don't always bounce around so much as we are right
That's
now.
okay.
But this is
I don't
fun.
mind. I don't mind.
So medical office in the portfolio
So
is
I think
growing.
medical office is a great vertical. I think life sciences is a long-term vertical. The data center world is on fire.
We should talk a little bit more about that, I think, as well, because you are in that world,
Yeah.
and it is the gold rush right now.
It's
so where are
very
you?
much a focused effort.
Give
put
us
it
an
that way.
example of an opportunity or a deal that you're working on.
Well, we're working on several sites. It's all about the power. It's like how close is the power to your site?
Right.
Where's the substation that can deliver it to you? How long will that take? What capacity and what load is available for your site?
Yep.
And everyone now thinks they have a data center site, so it's getting a little tough, right?
Right.
The utilities, can only go so fast and do so much. You used to be able to get a load study for nothing because no one was really asking every day. Now they actually charge you a real amount because they can't waste their time anymore, and it's effort and resources they're putting in to figure all this out. And at the end of the day, they got to sell you something for it to make sense for them. They want, which is their job. But I think this is going to be the game. It's the power game.
Yeah.
You're reading about the chips and how fast can we get those, and all the new ones are being made, and that's gonna happen. And we got the best tech companies in the world working on this issue, and in America that's a good thing, right? They're all right here. It's the power game. It's the infrastructure game. This used to be asset light, right? Software's asset light. They don't have all this infrastructure that is necessary to grow, right? They get a software program, they do a little app change or a different product, or they add on it, and it's not like they went out and needed a whole new, power structure to do it. They did at the beginning when the internet started. You needed the data centers to obviously you need the cloud, and that went well. So now we're in a sort of a revolution of the next phase of what's needed for the cloud to operate for AI.
So it scares a lot of people too, right? Because technology is moving so quick, it's hard to predict what's going to happen next. Obviously, you're still very bullish on data centers, or you wouldn't be doing deals right now.
It's hard.
Give us an example of. So, are you entitling land? Are you doing spec? How does it?
Listen,
how does it look?
they're not always zoned for what a data center would need. So you got to work through those processes. If that's not the case, some are zoned for that use, or it's a broad enough zone where it could fall in. You just got to make some minor adjustments. But it's just like, where are you compared to where the power can be delivered? Yeah, it's a power game. That's it. Nothing happens without understanding the powers.
Well, now you see some data centers that are basically they're developing their own power plants
or they're locating next to one, or they're developing their yes, and they're talking about small nuclear reactors and like solar and like how are we gonna? It's gonna have to be all of the above to actually the need in their minds is so insatiable, right? For what compute will need to be. to produce these tokens, which are our questions. I mean, I don't know if you're using all the different LLMs in your daily life right now.
I made Perplexity crash twice today.
They're like my best friends.
Like I had someone in my company, we're doing budgets. It's year end, and they're putting the budgets into some of these LLMs.
Sure.
And he said basically what took him 3.5 weeks took him 2 days.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Because,
what's your favorite LLM?
I mean, I don't have a favorite per se. Yeah. I try them all to learn what all are doing and how they're different. I use Grok, I use Perplexity. Yeah. If you look at Anthropic, what I'm trying to find is like what products are they going to overlay? So there's like this Excel Anthropic supposed thing coming, right? So that's the next phase. Remember, like, you're obviously younger, but like, hello, you've got mail.
Yeah.
That's where we are in my mind. Like that's when the infrastructure was built, the internet was built.
Alex still has that. He's still
mail guy. That's a good movie. Listen, they just sold to some company in Europe.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, a very cool company.
AOL, you mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's incredible the tools that they're making, and you're right.
But you got to it's experimenting. We're at like I don't know when I got my first BlackBerry and I did that first email. Changed my life. Like it literally changed how I thought of the world, right? I didn't have to go carry this like 30-pound laptop at that point in time.
On the flip side, you always have your work with you.
Right.
I know. Which is good, but also bad.
Yeah, but you can shut it. I mean, that's all discipline. Just like you work out, right? You gotta be disciplined
when
in your life.
Shut it off. Yeah.
You can always be in excess in anything, right? But it does free you up, and it does allow you to do things that you never could do, and that's where this is going. Like when I could go analyze something that I would probably ask someone at my firm to do, and candidly probably waste their time.
Yeah.
Where I could get that first phase on my own with my own brain and my own sort of agentic helper. I have a podcast as well as I can now put all my podcasts up.
Jon, stop trying to steal our listeners.
There you go. I'm listening.
Give them all the listeners.
But like it's helped me with research. I mean, I can.
Of course.
I mean, what I can do on my own.
It's nuts. The capacity of what these GPTs can do is really impressive. I just had it abstract. It made a lease abstract for me on a lease that's 30 years old with 7 amendments, 4 letter agreements.
Right.
And it took it like 2.5 minutes.
Right.
And I would have spent my day looking at that lease, cross-checking definitions. Like, I have an abstract on 400 pages of documents.
And what's interesting? Like the old software, right? You had to go find the software that fit your need. This thing allows you to do a lot of things as if it is your own software.
Is your own, right.
Like whatever use case you can think of or however you can prompt these things could eventually get you to where you have to go.
Yeah.
Unlike anything that we've ever used in our life.
If you're managing debt in commercial real estate, it's worth checking out Lev. Lev's the AI platform for commercial real estate. Lev gives you one place to find lenders, launch deals, and keep track of responses without jumping between emails, spreadsheets, and CRMs. You can see everything that's happening with a deal across your team, all in one dashboard. Get the benefits of AI automation without the headache of building agents yourself. It's fast to set up and easy to use, and it's effective. Lev users are launching over $3 billion in deals every month, and they are loving the results. Visit lev.com to try it out. Do you ever think that in like 10 years, we're going to be looking back at these conversations and we're going to sound so stupid because it's going to be so basic?
No, we're going to say that we should have bought more land for data centers. But going back to the play in the data center, so to your point, what you're really looking for is how close the land is to the utility, and then running fiber
and the availability of the power,
of course, and the availability. But then running fiber to wherever doesn't really matter.
Well, it matters because it's a cost. It's how far is it?
Got it.
It's where is that substation?
So I was surprised about that because originally the first time I was ever exposed to data centers was like 2018, which feels like forever ago. And at the time, I remember these guys had almost a monopoly on data centers because they were right next to Seattle, like in Washington. Everything had to be close to Meta, had to be close to Amazon, had to be close to Google. And then there was like one in New York. Now I hear that it doesn't matter. They want to get the cheapest utilities, so you can stand one up in like Cleveland.
It used to be like the cents per kilowatt. Like what?
Right.
Like that was always the first question. That's why people went to Virginia, went to Ohio because they had the cheapest energy. Yeah. Now it's like they got to get it wherever they can get it, all over the country and globally.
Do you think that'll be a ripple effect in like a few years where they start focusing more on location again? They're like, all right, well, we went here, it was the cheapest at the time, but we really need it to be closer. Like that's the part of data centers that scares me.
Different companies see different things, like financial transactions. It's latency.
It's got to be ultra fast.
They can't miss a beat, right? Where inference is when that maybe needs more latency. Where the model where they're training them, that could go off. That could go offline. So it depends where they need it, how they use it, and the cost of what they're trying to achieve per token, right? And how they do that. And
you just signed I think you mentioned you signed a pretty significant lease for a data center recently. What was the process like? I mean, was there a lot of competition for that, or?
Yeah. So once when ChatGPT turned on, do you remember the first day you tried to ask it a question?
Of course.
Yeah.
Weren't you like, oh my God?
Yeah. I didn't. First of all, I had no idea what to even ask. It started with like stupid Google searches.
Anymore, and actually, and did you part of did you trust it? Did you not? But besides that, you're like, oh my God, this is pretty cool. And I remember I was using Perplexity, and you saw the blue leaks underneath. And at the beginning, I was going in and checking to see, was this right, or can I read something about it? And now I really don't. I see that they're there, which at least I know what it's reading, right? So I can see where the answer is coming from. But yeah, so I think the minute that turned on, it was like everyone was out looking for sites, from all over the country. People came in and they looked, and everyone was still trying to figure it out. And what was land worth? How is this going to work? Do you really have the power? Do you not have the power? People really didn't fully understand what it took to get the lines to the. So it's been an evolution, and it worked out. This site happened to have existing power. So
so this was an easy no-brainer for you.
No, it was not easy. Nothing's easy. But it was, at least we had more than you normally do to actually make it happen in a way that we did, right? We always thought it had value, but our focus was the life science part of the property, and that was the bigger sort of part of the asset anyway. But listen,
so this was a life science.
This was a big property,
and you have a data component.
Yes, we had a data because we had substations on the property.
So that's interesting. I haven't really heard much about that, but that makes sense. Obviously, there's sites where you can have multiple uses.
There's a lot of sites that are old manufacturing that had dead power. Like a lot of people at the beginning, they knew this was happening, and they went around looking like, where's the underutilized power with the infrastructure there?
Interesting.
Already, right? That was phase one. That's called the low hanging fruit in our business, right? But then it kept going, and momentum kept happening, and they became bigger. If you looked at a normal data center that was built over the years for the financial companies or whoever needed, even the cloud, 20 megawatts. I mean, I don't even think they'll look at a site that's less than 100 megawatts right now. And they're building sites with 600 and 700 and 800 megawatts and gigawatts. And
it's insane.
Well, they're working on quantum computers. It's going to
they're just going to need more compute. Crazy. It's all about that. That's why they're going to need more energy, more compute. And we got to figure it out, because just like there's sort of NIMBY in everything when it gets overdone in any town or area. And energy prices have been going up a bit. So as a society, as an industry, we all got to figure out how to make it work. Yeah. Because this is our future if we believe that.
I think it's kind of interesting. You'll see some towns with not a whole lot going on, and there'll be a data center that's constructed, and the utilities will have to build out much more infrastructure for that.
They want to.
But they run the risk of what happens down the line should that data center go out or move, or should energy be, should these just be much more efficient, or there's so many things.
And quantum is real. We are not even close to what's going to be needed. I mean, we're just not. Now, I'm not any of these big tech companies. I don't sit in these rooms. But from what I read and just, if you look at the percentage of people actually using it to what could be, remember, like the internet was the internet. The hello, you got mail was like you saw the weather.
Right. It was a huge deal.
These weird chat rooms, like, what the hell is this? Like, like you didn't really get much, right? And then all of a sudden, use cases were built. And Meta, which was Facebook, and like these people in dorm rooms were creating these layers on top of this thing now that we call the internet.
Right.
And no one thought it was real. And there was a bubble then, and it did burst.
But it didn't go anywhere. But it kept growing. There was a bubble,
just
but
took
it didn't
time.
go anywhere.
And then again, no one was going to shop at store. Like we there's two things in life. It's never as good as it seems, and it's never as bad as it seems, right?
That's one of my favorite sayings.
So I always believe that, because that's really what it boils down to, right? And you're somewhere in the middle there, depending on where you got.
It's fascinating. There's we really should have an entire episode on data centers, but anywho.
Yeah, I mean, this is your chance. Yeah. We got the guy.
Well, listen, I'm like a small little piece of a puzzle.
So can we?
We got lucky.
Can we talk a little bit about your view on the tri-state region compared to other parts of the country when it comes to real estate right now? I mean, I'm a Texas guy. Sun Belt is we drink the Kool-Aid a lot, right? About the Sun Belt. What do you think the future is like for the tri-state area? We got a lot of things changing. Where are we at? New mayor for New York City, all the talk.
Listen, I wake up every day, I'm like, what are the rules of the game?
Yeah.
And put me in the game. That's it. Everywhere, there's always a good piece of real estate. There's always a good community to build in. It's like, it's just finding those opportunities wherever you are, believing that you can make something happen, and so going through the agony of what it is.
You're not too concerned with the politics. You're looking at the property. Does property make sense?
There's been politics my whole life.
Yeah, right.
If I was listen,
do you
have to understand what's you have to understand what's going on. Of course.
Well, this is why I'm asking this. I'm asking this because we talked about sort of beforehand your 9/11 story and how you ended up leaving Manhattan.
Right.
And there's a whole nother generation of professionals in New York City that I think might be talking about leaving because there's a new mayor.
Right.
Now, whether that's justified or not justified, not
listen, if you look
at
COVID, like I know tons of people that were going to leave in 2 years but left early, right? Because COVID, these events create change or someone maybe to make a decision faster than they would, right? 9/11 was ours. Like I wanted to stay in the city another 2 or 3 years, right? I loved it. I stroll my little kids around. Like I had my little neighborhood. They knew all the restaurants.
You're like living in a TV show. It's
I love the city.
Cool.
So I still do.
So I'm digressing here, but we could talk about real estate all day, every day, and we do. We like real estate. It's a real estate show. Alex is looking at me like, where's this going?
Get to the point.
Tell us about, you were talking to me about 9/11, what happened and how I think you were stuck in the city or your wife was stuck in the city.
My kids were stuck in the city and they were able to drive out. I guess at 11 o'clock, they let you come out over the bridge.
That's wild.
I was stuck in Jersey. And
you were probably freaking out.
We thought we were never going back in. Like we bought clothes. We stayed with my parents. We had a 3-month-old and a 2.5-year-old.
It's terrifying.
And then 8-9 weeks later, we still had a lease left. But we did buy
Where were you living? Were you in Battery Park?
No, I was in Lincoln Center area.
Oh, okay.
So, you never knew what was going to happen next.
Of course.
But it wasn't even the point. It was terrible.
Chaos.
It was just terrible. But we ended up coming back while we did some improvements to our house, and then we moved out. But I was moving out anyway.
Oh, you were already going to be moving out of the city.
It just, so what I'm trying to say.
What was it for you at the time? I'm curious. Was it just a life change, or was it something influenced by the city itself?
I wanted more space. Yeah. Plus, my business is a Jersey business, so that is different. I didn't have to commute. Right. I was reverse commuting to Jersey, so. Yeah. But at the end of the day, also, I still wanted more space. It was my second. I had my second child, and we were thinking about it anyway. It was just that that pushed us. But
that gave you an extra push.
And that's what happened in COVID, right? Yeah. And I don't know what'll happen now. Everyone says all sorts of stuff until you see. You never know.
I think a big acceleration in COVID was. Hey, I was already thinking about getting more space. It was definitely less of a...
Or people maybe are getting married, like demographics.
I think it was less of a oh, the city's now this, so I need to leave. I think there was a component
Listen,
of that.
it's never
I think it was
one,
much
it's never one thing, dude.
Right.
It's never one thing. And if people tell you that, they're lying. It's a culmination of what's going on in your life.
Of course.
That then one maybe thing at the end will push you
over the hump.
It's just like a deal, right?
Yeah.
Like you're looking at a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you believe in? What do you want to do? You know, where are you going? And what's your sort of game plan?
Yeah.
So
I do feel like this, there's a lot of talk right now about, families doing the same thing that happened after 9/11 with Mondami's administration. Again, whether it happens or not, it's people like to talk.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to get your take on that. And I think you're right. I think it's not.
Well, first
just
of all, you
one
can't know now anyway. It's been a day. It's
fear. We're still here.
It's fear, and I don't know if you agree with this. I'm curious. In my life, I don't think I've ever seen people so polarized as they are today.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to me. I don't know what happened where we lost the ability to just have conversations, but there's no such thing as a civil conversation with somebody who has a violently conflicting opinion with you.
I don't know. I tend to be able to have conversations with people.
Agreed. But because I think in our social circles, it works
think
that
like
way.
The way it is, if you just allow people to say how they feel without judging them, maybe you can have more conversations. I don't know, but it does feel crazy.
We're very tribal. Yeah. Everyone's very tribal now.
I think a lot of that has happened in the city, which is really sad because I love this place and I love the people here. I still do for the most part. I don't know how we get back to this point, but like this is how radical ideas, whether you agree with them or not, wins because people have radical opinions. You can't we lost the moderate ground to be able to talk normally.
Or they're just not saying anything right now.
The loudest voices in the room are always
social media is just amplifying all this. And I'm not saying it's not there, but what do you look at all day?
I know.
Totally.
Like if you didn't look at social media for a week, you may not feel this same feeling you're feeling right this second.
You'll be a lot happier.
That's true.
Did you try it ever?
Not long enough. I need to do it more.
So go do it for a week and give yourself 10 minutes and try not, when you even look at it, to look at stuff you can read and not see.
Yeah.
That's what I tried. I've tried changing my algorithm.
See if maybe it doesn't feel as bad.
Yeah.
As you're feeling right this second.
Have you done this as well? Or
I go in and out. I mean, I want to know what's going on too. But I've tried it and I tend to feel better when I'm busier with other things and not trying to learn what's going on, Yet we want to know. So
it makes us no money and it depletes your endorphins.
I watch a lot. I love to learn. I love to learn. I watch podcasts that I can learn as much as I can. I used to wake up in the mornings and put on the news, and I like CNBC and to learn what's going on with companies. But so more now, I'll put on a podcast I want to learn something about in the morning for the half hour that I'm waking up before I go work out.
Have you played with Notebook LLM?
I have.
Because making your own podcast on that is just the craziest thing.
It's great. Well, you can put up 10 of yours and it'll make one for you.
Yeah, for those that don't know.
And you can have 2 of you that are not you.
It's insane.
Yeah. For the people who don't watch the video version of this, I want you to know this is actually us.
First off,
this is
watch
not
the
a
video
AI
version.
recording.
I love watching podcasts because I love the people, the hosts. If you like the host, you will watch the podcast forever, right?
For sure.
Because the guests are great, but it's the take of the host, the energy of the host.
Of course.
Yeah, it's really is.
Well, the Notebook LLM, for those who don't know, you can literally just drop a Wikipedia link in there and it will create a podcast with 2 real voices, a male and a female, having real banter. And they'll even crack jokes.
No, it's terrific.
And they will explain
Jack,
that article.
Don't worry, I've already replaced you. Notebook is going to be great.
That's how you, if you want to hear rather than read.
100%.
There's so many different ways you can learn today. But I love watching, I watch podcasts on AI. I don't know if you're here at Blinkist.
Oh yeah, of course.
So you can listen to 20 books a week,
and they're all summarized.
12 minutes.
Yeah.
And then if you really like that topic,
then
you can go deep dive, or you find a podcast.
I actually thought that was Blinkist was a great idea.
Yeah, and Audible and all these great ways.
Tell us this, right?
Blinkist.
You're for still real estate listeners who, if you guys hate us when we talk about
tuned out 30 minutes ago.
I got them laughing. So. with all the different asset classes you're seeing, right? Obviously, AI is a big component and everything. What are you most excited for or hopeful for over the next year? It could be stuff that you're working on. It could be changes that you're seeing, like.
Well, listen, rates are going the right way. That's a very hopeful thing for our business.
SOFR like dove this last week. I don't know what happened.
So, again, I think there's we never saw rates go up as high as fast in my, this is my third cycle in my career. I don't think you have either. So what happens is, the real estate industry works on, it's a lot of debt, right? Like it's debt and equity. That's how our business works, right? So most people have 60, 70, 80% loan to value on their properties. Some have more with mezz. So what happens when rates change that drastically and you have loan maturities, right? It's a problem. Like, do you really even have any equity? Is it almost like a new deal you're starting over and you have to write a new check in it? You have other people's money. Are you going to go ask them for any more money right now, on these syndications? So I think we've been through a lot of the workouts, and as loans mature, as rates get a little better, it may save some people, but it's not going to save everyone. So I think you're going to see a lot of opportunities in that breadth.
In the debt, in terms of buying debt or
you could go back to the bank, or you could buy a note, maybe take
so you think it's still early for the maturities?
Well, they're all maturing over the next 18, 24 months. I mean, some have matured this year, some last year, and it's, they do billions and billions of dollars of lending, right? In the trillions.
Well, they keep kicking the can down the road in many instances, and it's.
Well, you also legally can't at some point, even if you're the bank. Like,
well, listen. A lot of them want to kick it down the road because they got to report also. Exactly. It's a big ecosystem of everyone trying to make it work, right? But I think we're at the point now where, as rates go down, it will be easier for the capital ratios, like I said, the banks to be able to maybe make more decisions on what do they want to keep or not keep. Some are selling off loans. Some are, working through workouts with some of the borrowers that they want to try to work out.
Do you ever provide, let's call it rescue capital?
No, we don't do that. We might invest with someone that is doing that if they have a deal and they show us a deal, friend of ours. But no, we're more, the ownership model. We'll buy a piece of debt if we have to get to the property, at least we know we can operate it, right? But if we can work it out, we'll work it out too. I mean, you're buying it at enough of a discount that your return should be good enough, and you should underwrite that it's good enough if I actually cut a deal with the borrower, right? Because it's a long, drawn-out process. It's a brutal process. Different states have different rules. You got receivers, and it's you don't want the collateral to go to.
Are you seeing more or less operators in the space today?
It's a good question.
I feel that you're going to see some new ones start now because they don't have any legacy, and if they go raise a fund now with new fresh capital to take advantage of some of the opportunities that are here. So you always see that in the new cycle. And listen, people get older. Some people, obviously, they get in, to too much issues that, it hurts there.
The news is important. But if you're a busy real estate professional like me, you don't have time to skim through dozens of dry and ad-filled media outlets each day. That's why I read the CRE Daily. It's a free email newsletter that cuts through the clutter and delivers concise, witty commentary on the latest trends and transactions in commercial real estate. If you're a commercial real estate professional, you owe it to yourself to try it out and stay on top of what's happening in the industry. It's only 5 minutes a day. Visit credaily.com to sign up for free.
Well, I see in the retail space in particular, I see a lot of LPs, investors who are tapped out.
Right.
I mean, they've gotten wiped. So you're going to have, I think, new sponsors out there who are going to have to tap or going to have connections to tap new capital.
Yeah.
And that's a whole new
I mean more so just from like a spot rate, like just at this spot in time, you've been doing this a while, so Jersey like the back of your hand. How many of the guys who started around the same time you started are still there, and how many of them are new entrants over the last 5 years or something like that?
there's not as many new entrants because it was too hard. I mean,
Too frothy.
you had rates go up, you had COVID. So I think it was a little bit of a delay, like a lot of things were a delay, right? So I think you're going to see more people come in now and take a shot.
Yeah.
This is the time to take a shot.
Okay, so that was going to be a question.
Like,
in the cycle, where are we right now? Is this
You're
what's
like,
happening?
this is it, man. Like take a shot. Like this is the beginning of a cycle. You know, if rates go the right way, you could screw up and still have a little bit cover, right? As they lower. You know, you want to be conservative in how you underwrite. Like we always like to, you know, be conservative, but you still have to have a view and a belief to win. You're always paying the highest price if you win, right? Because you beat everyone else.
Right.
So you have to have conviction, but you got to, you know, understand, you know, we always look to like, how are we going to mitigate our risk as fast as possible, right? When you buy these big sites, right? Like what can we lease quickly? Yeah. What can we maybe sell off? You know, who wants this more than we do? Bring down our basis over here. And you're always open to what's going on. And that's how you underwrite it, right? That you have lots of different versatility in how you can execute your business plan. And then maybe you have, you know, 2 or 3 different scenarios based on, if this happens, then we do this, and you got to think through it. You know, if you're buying a single building, it's a little bit easier, right? But when you're buying large sort of complexes with multi-buildings and land, you know, and you got to understand the town you're doing business with, and what do they want, and you know, really but that's why it boils down to like, what are you doing for the community? Like, it's not about you. It's like, how are you going and improving something? Why would people want you there? Because their lives are better. Like you're creating, whether it's a retail center or restaurants or whatever you're doing, right? Hotels, medical office, so that now your town has a real beautiful facility that, you know, so all those things matter, right?
Yeah.
If it's data center, it's something that had power. And it's a good rateable, and you know that's part of it too. So
I want to come back to one kind of last question on the office.
Okay.
You have a very specific product that again is super different than what's product in New York. Are you seeing? I guess what's the level of demand for companies like traditional office users throughout Jersey office parks now?
So Class A plus A.
Yeah.
We've never had a higher occupancy in our portfolio.
And is that
ever.
Across like Jersey,
all of our
Jersey
properties,
market for you? Wow.
All our properties, okay? And all the other properties that
So highest occupancy, and I know you guys have revamped and done all that, but it's at peak occupancies and peak rates.
Yeah, because I think anyone that wanted to get their people back to work wanted to give a reason for them to want to come back and wanted the best possible situation they could find, both locationally, right? But amenities, you know, a landlord that's solvent, because there's also a lot of issues with landlords that they may not be your landlord.
Yeah, I'm going to sign a 10-year lease with you.
You got to know like what the status is of the building.
Are these office buildings core plus, suburban? Where are these?
I call them core, like what we own. I mean, and we've made them as core as we possibly could based on what they were.
Like in CBDs or like what?
No, these are all suburban assets. I mean, we own a couple of CBD assets that we do well in, and one
I'm just curious.
See, that's amazing because I think the broad market utterly believes that product has died.
We will not have enough Class A plus facilities soon.
Yeah.
We won't.
Interesting.
Yeah. There's some that are getting worked out. Like they were bought too high, the loan came due. I mean, stuff happens, right? Just because a deal doesn't look good because of a capital structure in the past doesn't mean it's not a great location. Right. It's just what price are you going to be able to
John, and what are the tenants telling you as like, what is their reason for being in the suburban park? In the city, whatever, it's a big education pool, big talent pool. So
I know when you live in the city, you think this place is the center of the universe.
Well, that's how they act.
But there is many other suburban communities with major companies and corporate headquarters, and Jersey has that, right?
Yeah.
That are thriving, and the talent's out there, and you know that's where they do their business, right? So, you know, that's always been there. It's been a little bit more scattered, you know, with technology. Yes, people can be remote more than they ever could in a real way. You know, the cloud really produced that result. COVID if you look back when the cloud was coming out and most of the large companies did, we had on-prem servers. Like most of the middle market companies, COVID pushed everyone to the cloud, which allows now mid and small size companies to be much more mobile and much more remote because they were really all behind the curve. And COVID actually helped that. I mean, candidly. But I think that 2, 3 days, 4 days, 3.5 days, whatever it is, people want a culture. They want people to feel part of something. They want to feel like a mission is a real mission. I think the biggest problem in the past was not being in the office. It was commuting. Who the hell wants to sit in crazy traffic, right? So I think, as people move into different suburban areas and the right companies are there, I think that's a great thing. And now they're building more residential communities around.
So we're densifying suburban areas now.
Yeah, there must be 1,000 apartments being built around 2 of our complexes.
Wow, that's incredible.
And Lifetime Fitness is going across the street. It's really live, work, play being created.
Near the office
about it for 15 years.
In Dallas a lot.
Cool.
Downtown Dallas is being sucked dry, or has at least. And you have all these sort of, to your point, miniature CBDs outside of traffic.
But office is here to stay. I mean, it's going to be a core component of work. Like how it's used, everyone's going to have a little bit different take on that. And it's still the experiment of it. And it's always been an experiment, right? But I think, listen, a lot of people are taking less space, and then a year later, they're asking us for more space, right? So again, it's never as good or as bad. So people will overdo and underdo based on those feelings, right? And then they get in there and they see that it's working.
Yep.
I think you have to be more like a hotelier mindset for office. I've been saying that for years, but
we've had a couple of office owners come on and they said the same thing.
You have to have service.
It's a hospitality model.
And
for sure.
we feel Onyx as a brand. I want when you say, oh, that's an Onyx building, that needs to mean something. Like in the past, this was go in my building, we'll take care of the bathrooms, we'll clean them, go into your cubicle. That's how it was. It was more of a manufacturing feeling. And then the tech companies really changed that. Think about it, right? When Facebook, Amazon, when they were building these things and we're all watching this, we're like, companies got.
I think you're right. I mean, we've had Boston Properties on, KBS, Fisher Brothers, Sage. We've had on quite a few office owners. The same exact.
Now they're more urban.
Yeah.
Same thing. The only thing is with urban, which is you're a little luckier in some ways, is that all the restaurant, like the location and what's around you, becomes part of the building, right? Like we are in suburban. That's why having the right location with maybe the retail, there's retail centers around.
I think we saw when Bellworks came up, all the PUDs around it, all the developments that are coming, that makes a lot of sense, right? As people kind of flock and they're like, all right, well, there's going to be 50 companies here. We could build housing, and people obviously.
Well, it was a community, and he created the energetic feeling of what an office building can be by having the retail in there. It was like a really cool looking facility.
It was cool. They did a great job with it. So I fully agree with you.
We have the Gateway Center in Newark that we've done a similar thing to. It's open to the community. We have new restaurants that have come in. We're putting more in. It's got great amenities. It's near the Prudential Center. It's 18 minutes to get in and out of New York. We can recruit from a real wide area. We built a brand new atrium. We always say it's like the biggest new door in Newark, like a front door, because it's it's like an apple-like structure. It's beautiful. So you gotta create an experience like at any piece of real estate. And all's a little bit different, but even, the medical facilities, right? They want to be around amenities, and
of course,
their doctor's offices, there's urgent care.
And to attract new talent pool, that's super important now.
It's like, how do you serve people is the question that should be asked in whatever we do. I mean, if you listen to read Jeff Bezos, like customer obsessed.
Yeah.
Like what are we without our customers, right? Like in real estate buildings, all we are is our tenants. How do we serve them better? And how do you become a brand that we have multiple tenants now in multiple buildings, right? Because if they see we're in a market that they need a new site, they very much would like to be in one of our buildings. And, that took years to create. But I think that's where a real estate mindset has to go as you scale.
Yep.
Yeah. I think that was the best anybody has ever put it.
Yeah.
So like,
Oh, wow.
become customer obsessed. No, seriously, it's
That was kind of a good way to sort of end this conversation a little
Yeah,
bit. I
on
mean,
a high note.
you have so much experience, and it's been great having you on, John. I guess
Yeah,
on
we're
a
gonna-
high note, let's tell everyone what are you most excited about for 2026? And
even if it's not real estate.
yeah, it doesn't have to be real estate.
What am I most excited about? I get asked that question a lot,
yeah.
and I'm just excited that I feel opportunity is there for me.
Yeah.
And for the people around me, the people that I work with.
And more so going into 2026
And
than
that
2025. maybe.
I've always been very into change. Like I like change because I always feel like, and that's how I started when we started a brokerage company, like when things are not perfect is when you can start something new and people can say, well, we've done it this way.
Yeah.
For years. So like, why would I take a chance on you? But when it's not perfect and the market's changing or you're seeing dynamics change, it gives that entrepreneur a chance to get in there and maybe recreate or change something. So
I feel that too.
Things aren't perfect right now.
I get excited about
it.
all the new things that are going to recreate what we do.
Very cool.
And the things that I can learn from it, and
I think that's
and
great.
help as many people as I can along
That's
the way.
great. Yeah.
I agree. That makes sense.
love that.
Thanks so much for coming on, John.
Yeah,
My
man.
pleasure.
Thanks.
My pleasure.
I'm excited. Now there's a different meaning for me. So once I get onto the Parkway and I see the big building with the gigantic Onyx sign.
We used to have
now-
that. That's not there anymore. But
the sign's
you did
still
say
up.
it.
Now it's a different meaning for me.
Well, it's still ingrained in your head, right? Like
And it's one of the most like pivotal points in my drive from the city home, like, to go
that
see
was
my
a good
folks.
sign. We used to
Fucking killer.
Bring it back.
There's nothing in the area, and there's just one big building. It's got Onyx in the biggest letters imaginable.
It was that sign, but also like film and TV, right? Like we would manage buildings, and people would want to use our facilities to shoot, just like they do with Severance and all these others. And our Onyx logo was on the front doors of these buildings, because again, we're a brand. We want you to know that this is managed by us, whether we own it or not. I think Billions was the movie, was the show at the time. And Homeland was going on at the same time. No one knew which show it was, but I would just get texts and texts.
Oh, that's
and
really
texts.
cool.
Awesome.
So it's the power of
now I have to
marketing.
go rewatch. I don't even realize
It's the power of like what marketing
that's
and
so good.
entertainment is. And Jersey actually, on another note, has all this movie and television studio.
The Netflix campus is moving
You
around,
got,
which
you
is
got
huge.
Lionsgate.
I think we watched that place just sit dormant for years.
Paramount now just signed a lease, so
crazy.
it's going to be good.
It's awesome.
All right,
man.
cool.
Thanks for coming
Thanks, John.
on.
Thank you.